As a tech leader, you might think that your role is to create comfort for your team, to be a buffer, to protect them. We talked about the bad things about being a buffer, but today let's talk about the fact that they ought not get too comfortable, and neither should you. I'm Aviv Ben-Yosef, and what I do is help tech executives create teams worth leading. And today, our discussion will be about how to create healthy discomfort to create even better teams that will be able to propel the entire company forward. Now, one thing that we ought to understand is that we seem to have gotten things mixed up. In the last few years, we've gotten into a point where we think that we have to cuddle our teams, we have to make sure that everything always feels comfortable for them, that they're never distressed too much, that they're never trying to work too hard, etc. Now, I'm not saying we don't need to treat our people with the right sort of respect and dignity. However, I'm saying that they are adults, and nothing wrong will happen if, from time to time, they get pushed a bit outside of their comfort zones. Actually, I believe it is something that will help them grow much faster, and that we ought to create more opportunities for them to experience it. Come to think about it, being outside of our comfort zone is actually when we are most aware, when we are most there, we are in the moment because we're not doing things on autopilot. You know how when you start a new job, you have the fresh mindset, you have the fresh perspective, and you notice a bunch of things about the company, but that wears out eventually. We want to create this sort of the new car smell, or whenever you switch jobs or the company switches physical offices, and for a few weeks there, every time you get in the car, every time you take that different route to work, you notice that something is different. You're more aware of what's going on. And we want to have a way to create more of that, because whenever we have that, we get teams that are more engaged, we get more creativity, we get people who actually grow faster. Because to accelerate growth, you have to have some friction. Otherwise, you're not seeing people growing, you're seeing people just cruising along. And without that healthy friction, they're not going to be putting their minds to it. They're not going to be growing as fast as they can be. So let's quickly review a few ways for you to introduce a bit of discomfort for yourself personally to become a better leader and to help your entire team around you grow. First, and this is something that some of you might never have considered in the past, is hire for potential. We see teams where each new person that's getting hired, even if you're looking out for diversity, are all about the same when it comes to their employment background. They're all about the same amount of seniority, come from the similar backgrounds. And my problem with that is that we're getting people who all have been through the same course and therefore think the same. Like you see these companies where essentially 60% of the team are people who work together in a previous company. I like to hire for potential. That means that we're hiring people who haven't exactly done that thing in the past and letting them grow into it. Yes, if you do only that, you're going to be operating on too much of a hard mode setting, and I don't recommend that. But doing that from time to time, right now deciding that the next hire you're going to make is going to be more potential-based, just might help you grow a bit more, not just that hire, because everyone around and the team will have to learn how to coach and mentor others, and that can help them become better by themselves. Another similar concept is to shuffle responsibilities more. Whenever you get too comfortable, what you have are teams where people essentially do the same sort of stuff. You know that John is very good when it comes to that specific part of the backend, so any task that touches it is automatically assigned to John. Or you have the couple of senior engineers who get all of the certain topics of assignments because those are more advanced or require more attention, more experience, whatever. I say shuffle things around. Instead of automatically assigning things to people based on how many of these they've already done and therefore they are used to it, from time to time at least, try and assign things to the people who don't know how to do it, who have the least amount of experience, because that's how you get everyone to raise the bar and you prevent having these pockets where things are not ideal, but no one really notices because that same person who always treats the issues there, keeps doing that and being the hero, but no one around actually knows what's going on. If you have other people coming in, especially if they're less experienced, we have to raise the bar as a team, and we have to notice that we have these crunches going on. Oftentimes when we do this, when we have the shuffling of responsibilities, we're going to notice that we have these crutches before it's too late, because eventually that person might leave, and then it's going to be a lot more painful. Okay, so we aiming at a bit of discomfort, not pain. Third, how about we decide that for the next couple of weeks or the next month, you drop 50% of the meetings you've got on your calendar. You, your management team around you, perhaps everyone in the company. Depending on how you want to do this, just as an experience, say, we're going to cut it. We're going to cut a bunch of syncs, a bunch of things that are happening weekly are now going to be happening once every 2 weeks. So we get that 50% reduction and see what happens. Will you, after that month, see that people are more productive, less productive? You might notice that specific meetings are actually important and decide to introduce them. You might realize that others are actually really, this could be an email for real, and that's what they're going to be from now on. Do that as an experiment and see what that means to you, and learn whether you've been wasting so much time just, going or joining the Zoom links for the same meetings for months now, even though it wasn't necessary because you were in the comfort zone. You got the notification, you click, you're in the Zoom, you wait for it to finish, as opposed to thinking, do we actually need this meeting? And this is, again, how we notice these discomfort zones. Another option for you as a leader and for everyone else in the leadership team, if you've got enough people under you, is to have a blitz of skip one-on-ones. If you have enough people who don't report to you directly, decide to have this blitz of a few days where you talk to a dozen or so people who you haven't talked to personally in a while, and have these skip one-on-ones so you can learn a lot more about what's going on in the organization as a whole, and get like this sweeping cross-section of the organization to see what is top of mind for a bunch of people, what are they complaining about, and then you'll be able to notice, do we have repeating areas where people are complaining about? Do we have some themes that you're noticing? Maybe there's a specific part of the organization that's having more trouble than others, and having this ability to have this blitz one-on-one will help you resurface the things that ought to be top of mind for you. Because you are used to your comfort zone where you're only talking to people within your close circle and might miss out on your ability to help others around you in the organization. Here's one that might be very hard if you're too remote, but I am for changing seating from time to time. If you're in an open space, just shuffle things. You might say that it's only for the next couple of weeks if it's getting people too stressed up, but say, no, let's move things around. Maybe we notice that these two people are actually working a lot more the last couple of weeks. Perhaps they can sit together for the next couple of weeks. Perhaps we can have that team change rooms with that other team, swap things around. When you do that, again, you get that new car smell, you get people more attentive, and you get different types of conversations, because I see different people in my office, in my day-to-day, as I go to take a different route to get to the kitchen or whatever. We have to do those to help people be a bit more mindful and a bit more present when they are actually in the office, even if it's just for 2 days a week. If you're going to be doing the seating swap, perhaps consider doing a brain swap. And that is where for a sprint or two, we take someone from one team and put them in another team. This is temporary. They're not moving teams indefinitely. This is taking someone on loan. And what you get out of that is you get some fresh perspective injected into a team from someone who already has a bunch of experience in the company, because they're not new. They're just new in that team or on that project. And when you do that, you get the fresh perspective, but also you help ensure that knowledge is not ensconced in specific teams. You get someone to go to a different team and say, oh, we had a similar issue and we did this, or, oh, wow, that's how you solved that. Maybe that can help us with that. You get more of those, and those are great. And again, just ensure that you time box it so people feel like it's less stressful, and not something like I no longer know which team I'm going to be on. It's just an experiment. It should be fun. It should be exciting. That's, even if it's a bit discomfortable, just, going on a roller coaster. It's not comfortable, but it is exciting, right? Once you've been doing a bunch of these, also consider having an intermission, which I also wrote about in my book. Some people call these sabbaticals, innovation weeks. These are not hackathons. These are 2, 3, 4, 5 days where the entire organization works together on doing things that are innovative, that might not actually work out, but are experiments worth doing, worth trying. And when you do that, especially after you've gotten people outside of the discomfort of their comfort zones for a bit, you're going to see people realize that they are having more ideas, hopefully more ideas than they usually have the time to execute on as they are working day to day. Giving them an intermission, giving them the option to execute on a bit of these ideas can really help the team embrace its creativity, embrace what innovation means, and realize that when we have ideas, we, from time to time, actually get the option to try it out. So I should be noticing these. Maybe I should start writing them down. This is amazing. Whenever I've done this with companies and I've gotten people to write to me about this from all over the world after reading about it in my book, you see that it can really help crack that barrier of productivity that so many teams are suffering from. So try that. And lastly, if you found this useful and you want to learn more about how to crack your team's productivity, and you're watching this around the time when this comes out, I'm holding a free live session in a few weeks that's exactly about this, cracking productivity. Why can't your team improve? What we just listed, getting outside of comfort zones and creating discomfort zones, is one part of that. But I've got a ton more. And if you sign up, you're going to get the recording if you can attend live. And if you can attend live, you're going to get to ask me questions. So what'd you get to lose? Check out the link below, and I'll be very glad to see you there. Embrace the discomfort. Thank you.